Welcome to the Mind Duck podcast.
Mind Duck
Japan podcast. Oh no, I failed already.
Well, it's episode 19. Yay!
This episode we have 4 guests, including a robo guest.
Not only is there Sara from Philippines, Paolo from Italy, Nabi-chan from hell.
Come on, poor Nabi-chan.
Nabi-chan!
Nabi-chan has a split personality and also is ETC-chan. ITC-chan and other chans, and I hate her so much. So it's the car navigation, because in Japanese if you say navigation it's nabi, because V is B. So yeah, Nabi-chan. She's gonna talk eventually. There's also Paolo joining us finally on the podcast.
Yay.
And Sara.
Hi!
And Chen, of course.
Yeah, but I'm a co-host.
Yeah, you're a co-host, but you haven't been on the last few episodes.
Oh, well, I'm a bad co-host.
You've lost your bragging rights of being a co-host.
Ah, no.
You're not even the only Chan in this episode.
I know. I'll regain my position.
So this episode we're recording on a trip to Matsumoto and Takayama. We're on the way back. We've experienced a lot of stuff. And to introduce the people who are finally on the podcast, Paolo's long-time listener, no-time podcast guest.
Okay.
So who are you?
I'm Paolo, and I was once able to say all the alphabet burping. It's one of my proudest feats.
Okay. So other than that, you're also a teacher. Anything
Yes.
else that you do other than teaching?
I write bullshit and people offend me because of it.
I would say that you're a very enthusiastic reader. We had a lot of conversations about books, so that might come up later.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I like reading, but I especially like talking about books. I'm a very slow reader, so.
It doesn't sound like you're a slow reader. Sounds like you read a lot. So how about you, Sara? Who are you?
Oh, hi. So I'm Sara. I'm from the Philippines. I like punk rock. And I build gunpla.
Gunpla.
So that's plastic modeling.
I didn't know.
Robots and stuff.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
Gundam.
yeah, Gundams.
Adam would love to talk to you.
Yeah.
He loves models so much. He was on many episodes before. It's my Czech friend.
Yeah, I'm into that kind of thing.
Have you ever listened to any of the podcasts?
Actually, no, I didn't know about it.
It's okay.
Yeah, now I know.
So what we talk about is strange Japanese things. I branded it as a tragic comedy podcast. So it's basically me doing stupid bullshit and then making mistakes and trying to laugh about them. And also we find strange things in Japan. We talk about language and traveling and like characters and all that. And so these segments on the podcast.
Oh, that's wonderful because
that's-
Japan is really insanely strange.
And how are you, Chen?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Language quirk.
To start with, I'd like to do a very quick segment about language. We call this language quirk. And this time I have a very, very short but very, very frequent thing that happens in the Japanese language. And that's when sometimes people shorten or lengthen the last syllable of the word, which we talked about a lot on this trip. So first off, to be serious about it, I never understand, and that's something that Sara might explain because she's very good at Japanese.
What? I wish I understood why they shortened
So
stuff.
for example, if you want to say I like something, so you say suki desu, which you would write suki desu. And sometimes they say suki desu, like most of the time. But sometimes they say suki.
Ski.
Oh, that's the one that I told you before. That's just like there are whispered vowels and things in Japan, so sometimes people might stress certain areas, but like
So it's for stressing
whispered,
it. Okay.
like if you have two whispered sounds together, or voiceless sounds, you're supposed to whisper things that have like an E or like a
Okay.
U, like and k are voiceless sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So ski. But you have to have some sound there.
But my question is, if you have like a verb and it ends at mas.
Yeah.
So today or yesterday I heard you talk and you speak perfect Japanese. I couldn't tell if you were a Japanese person or not, if I just overheard you talking. And sometimes you were like blah 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 masu. I was like, why does she say masu? Why isn't it mas? And is it for emphasis then, or why is?
Yeah.
Oh,
It also
sometimes.
sounds more polite.
So long story short, to somebody who doesn't know much and is trying to understand it, it looks like it's very confusing and very arbitrary when to shorten it, when not to shorten it.
But it's not.
And this like gets into English when Japanese people start talking English. This is why I think it happens, because they cannot say the last syllable the correct way, and especially if it ends like to, then they never say it correctly. So you get things like torrent and mosquite and potate and tomate.
Gelat.
So strange.
Any other favorite words that you like that?
Risotto.
Risotto.
Risotto, yeah.
Yeah, many of the Italian words they say like prosciutto, gelato, risotto, concert.
Frappuccino.
Frappuccino. Yeah, frappuccino.
Yeah,
it's
or
so strange.
tiramisu.
Tiramisu, yeah.
Oh, Nabi-chan is.
The entrance ramp is on the left.
I know.
Then,
Not sure if you're able to hear this, but Nabi-chan is complaining every time Paolo crosses a line on the road. I'm not sure we said it very well, but we're in a car driving. Paolo's driving, so hopefully we won't die in a fiery crash.
continue on the current road.
This is her alternative personality where she slips into English.
Yes.
Traveling tips.
The next quick part that will transition into the biggest part to talk about this trip is about travel and traveling tips. We talked about the fact that in Japan every area has a special dish or food or something that people like to try when they go to the place. That's not a thing I've ever seen in any other country. Have you ever heard of a country where they have specific dishes in specific cities?
Yes.
Yeah, like America?
Yes.
Not my country.
I would say like in Italy that's pretty common.
Okay.
Like there are, for example, in my home region you can find certain foods, and in other parts of Italy they don't even know what they are.
Alright.
Yeah.
We don't have that at all. We just have all the same. Like in Czech Republic. How about the Philippines?
Like we have like this kind of the same food everywhere, but every city does have that one specialty thing. Like
Okay.
because I think it depends on the vegetables that grow in that region or the spices. Yeah, but people don't go to a place and be like, yeah, I have to try this dish. No. Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna get angry emails for Czech people telling me that Czech food is delicious and there is a lot of special varieties in specific cities.
Well,
But
I don't know.
Yeah, but in Japan it's not just the food, it's also like the mascot is different and the souvenirs are different, the omiyage is different. So if you go to a different place you can find these types of flavors and things. So on our trip we started with Matsumoto, which is a city in Nagano.
Nagano.
So what have we done in Nagano and Matsumoto?
Oh yeah, we went to the castle.
Yeah, it's one of the top.
Which is, yeah, it's really cool because it's black.
Well, I mean, it's one of the top castles that were maintained. I think ever since maybe.
It's one of the 10 original castles in Japan.
So it's black, that's the biggest.
Yeah, that's by far the biggest advantage.
There are some interesting stairs with 60 or 70 degrees up, so you have to like climb them.
Yeah.
It was like hiking.
Take off your shoes and you walk on these wooden floors and it looks interesting. Other than that,
we went to Frog Street.
So there's a famous street that's called Kaeru, which in Japanese it can mean a frog or it can mean can buy. So there's a bunch of frog mascots and everything. Do you remember what the first mascot looked like?
He was awesome.
And he had the katana.
Yeah.
There were 3 of them.
Yes.
So there were 2 riding this one normal frog.
Yeah. yeah.
The other 2 were holding katanas and like ready to fight.
Yeah. One of them had skipped like the last evolution.
Yeah.
Was still like basic level.
Yeah, he was the horse, basically.
Yeah, she was serving as a...
There's a huge ass frog, and it was the role of a horse.
Yeah.
And 2 other frogs were riding it.
Yes.
And they were samurai.
Yeah, that was really funny.
So it looked insane. And then you get all these miniature souvenirs and like these pictures with holes for your face where you can take a picture as a frog in love and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a nice street with all these shops and everything. So after that we went to Takayama and on the way stopped at somebody say it correctly.
Kamikouchi?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Kamikouchi.
So how did you like Kamikouchi?
It's beautiful.
What is it?
Kamikouchi is basically like a mountainous area with some rivers. So its main attraction is the Kappa Bashi, which is a Kappa bridge. How do you explain Kappa in English?
Kappa is a
Yeah.
Japanese demon.
I want
Yeah.
to talk about that. That's my favorite my favorite demon.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's like this small monster that guards rivers and bridges, and it has like a fountain on its head. It looks a little bit like a duck, and it eats people.
I don't think it has a fountain on its head. It's more like a dent. Somebody
Yeah.
crushed
Yeah, but
its skull.
there's like water coming out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something there.
It's got like an indentation on the top of its
Yeah.
skull, and there is like a small pond in it.
But
Yeah.
even though it eats people, it's one of like the cutest demons, so you can like die like oh and then
I'm not sure about that.
In some of the depictions, it's got a beak,
Yeah.
and it looks like a turtle that's like fully green and I don't know, with claws for fingers. It's strange.
Yeah.
And there is a fairy tale like that supposedly children are told, and there's a moral to the story. It was that children are supposed to learn how to bow, and Kappa has all its power in the water on its head. So if it bows, the water will spill out, and the Kappa will lose its power and run away. So if you don't bow, it will not bow. It will have its power and eat you and kill you.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
So that's like to
Okay.
teach children to bow.
Okay, that I don't know.
Pretty funny.
Bow or die. That's
Yeah,
why they
bow
bow
or
so
die.
Yes,
hard
yes.
every time.
Yeah.
That explains it.
The second story with this is that you shouldn't go in the river alone and naked, go swimming. If you do that, Kappa will
Eat you.
get you. They will get you because they will pull your intestines out through your butt, and there are pictures and depictions of this.
Oh god.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And if you wanna be safe, you can throw cucumbers somewhere, and it will attract kappas. Which is why you can
Look
see
at my
them
butt.
cucumbers.
Here, have some cucumbers.
Yeah, I don't understand why that is, but
Maybe
it's-
cucumbers taste
Maybe it looks like
butts.
parts of intestines. I don't know. A bunch of
So I
them
don't know.
floating around, so they're like, oh yeah, I'm satisfied. That person lost their
green
intestines.
floating
They're
intestines
green
sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about that. But
So anyway, in Kamikouchi, is it correct?
Kamikouchi.
Never mind. That's why I never said it. Kamikouchi.
Yes, Kamikouchi.
I never say the names correctly. That's why.
That's why.
That's why I never say.
Kamikouchi.
Kamikouchi and Kamikouchi is the same.
Kamikouchi.
So it's this huge area where you can go for a hike and you can see beautiful mountains and trees, and in the autumn it's all colorful and nice, and at the end there's this bridge. We haven't been eaten by kappa, but I bought the best souvenir with Paolo.
Oh yeah.
What was it?
It's a pouch with a dog that has a kappa inside.
It looks like kappa has eaten the insides and is wearing the dog.
Yeah, it's either like a dog. It's either like a kappa that has like a dog hat, or a dog that has a kappa T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Either works, right?
it's the best. And so after that we continued hiking more, and there is a shrine at the pond with a wooden gate. You can get in line and take pictures. It's nice.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, all this area is really nice. And finally we visited Takayama.
That's not final.
Thing in Takayama, I meant the famous place there, which is the village.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, that's part of the Takayama.
I think so.
It's Takayama.
Oh, I thought that was
Shirakawa.
okay.
I think Takayama, if you say, people imagine this village. It's
Okay,
the most
yeah.
famous.
It's a, what is it, World Heritage or something?
World
like that?
Heritage Site.
Yeah.
It's really famous. Somebody told me it's better than Kyoto. Would you say that's true? Like it's more authentic, more like old-timey and those
It depends on
It depends what you're looking for.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the era. Maybe like Kyoto is a certain time period in Japan, and this place was like much older. I don't know.
This place is more authentic in the sense that like it wasn't beautified. Kyoto is constantly being beautified,
That might
and
be what they
locals
meant.
talk about how they don't like that.
Yeah.
But Kyoto is probably more beautiful if you're just looking at aesthetics, just aesthetics. It's a World Heritage Site, as Sara said, and it's this small village, and they most people remember it from its like special thatched roof houses. Like it's not just like, hey, I don't know what it is on top, but they're really, really thick and really sturdy, can withstand all kinds of weather and last a long time. And it's like really like high peaked roofs on these houses, and they're just it's a small
special.
village.
Yeah. You talked about how it looks magical in the winter because it gets covered in snow.
Yeah.
And I said I hate that because I hate cleaning up snow.
Food and drinks.
Right, so like we said, in each area there is a specialized menu or a dish or something. So in Matsumoto, the mascots are usually the frogs. Or I think I saw a castle that was a mascot. It always creeps me out where they make mascots out of a castle.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah. And a very famous dish is soba all around Nagano. We have had soba. Did you think it was special?
It was okay. I really don't know. Like for me, it tastes the same
Yeah.
anywhere I go. I guess the texture was a bit different. This one was a bit chewy. I don't know about you
it
guys.
was a bit more chewy.
Yeah,
I like
right.
the Italian's perspective of soba.
Yeah.
It's a cold pasta, it's not good. Zaru soba.
Yeah,
To quote Paolo, he said soba is the weakest noodle.
It's the weakest. It's the weakest of the Japanese noodles.
What about when it's hot? You can have hot soba. I
Yeah, I had hot soba. Again, like if you compare it to udon or ramen, it's like not good. It's okay. Like if you tell me like you don't have anything else to eat, I'll eat it. I won't complain. But if I can choose, then I'll never choose it.
Okay, that's fair enough. Like he's not gonna spit it out, right?
Yeah.
I and Chen never ate it much, and then we had it a lot recently, and it kind of grows on you. It's a cold bunch of noodles, and then you dip them in the sauce and you eat it with wasabi, and sometimes you get something fried on the side.
Yeah.
So in Matsumoto there is a famous side dish to soba, which is fried chicken in this like thick crust. It's called sanzokuyaki,
Sanzokuyaki.
Yeah.
and the translation is Mountain Bake Bandit.
Wait, Mountain Bandit Bake.
Yeah.
The other way.
Okay.
It's still ridiculous. Mountain Bandit.
So how did you like the Mountain Bandit?
It was delicious.
Yeah, that's
It was
really
great.
Yeah.
So you should definitely get that. You can get it as like chicken wings or like pieces of chicken or like slices of chicken.
Yeah, those bandits know what they're doing. They also know how to sneak well.
Oh yeah, that's something we should say.
The specialty of Matsumoto is the sneaker.
Yeah.
So what is a sneaker?
So, it's a secret that only people of Matsumoto know. It's basically a bus that takes you around the city. It's called a sneaker.
There's two guys though on a poster. We saw one at the castle. The castle we went to.
Oh, yeah.
They're part of this sneaking thing. And he walked right past you, Sarah. He sneaked right by.
you didn't see him at all.
You didn't see him.
Yeah, I didn't see it, so it's real.
He got black clothes, black mask, and he's got the pointy head like the rice field head.
Yeah, I didn't even notice him at all. And then when I look back, it's like, oh my god.
He looked like the character from Mortal Kombat and completely missed him.
Yeah, I saw his back because it's too late.
Yeah, anyway, so we saw this map, and on the side there was a person dressed in a ninja costume, and it said like go on a tour, and then you looked on the top and there's a huge ass sign that said get on the sneaker bus. And then if you look what the bus looks like,
Red polka dots.
it's like a white bus with red polka dot all over it.
You'll never know it's coming.
To be fair, I missed the bus.
It's a sneaker bus.
You actually didn't see it.
did.
Yeah.
Very sneaky.
ring the bell.
What you meant to mention the bear bells?
Yeah, so when we were walking to Kamikouchi,
Kamikouchi. So yeah, in Kamikouchi apparently there are bears. So we saw a lot of signs saying that bears were sighted. And so lots of people are walking around with these tiny bells that are called bear bells, because apparently if a huge bear see you walking with a tiny bell, they get really scared and they don't come near you.
The bells have tiny ears and bear faces on them.
Yeah, I guess that's why. Probably they think you killed their children to make those bells.
There's a list of instructions what to do if you meet a bear. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah, it's don't shout at him because it's very rude.
Mm-hmm. So if you see a bear, you can swear at him, like silently.
Yes.
You can be like, "Listen here, little cunt. I'm gonna fuck you up." But if you say it loudly, it's gonna mess you up.
Yeah, and then you should never run. That's one of the other things they said.
So back away slowly.
Yeah, you should back away slowly.
You shouldn't take their picture. They'll come back to haunt you.
Yeah, shouldn't take the picture. No, I think it's because like you don't have written consent.
Yeah, that's true.
You know that's
true.
it's a mess. If you upload it, then you get demonetized.
Yeah, that's exactly what's gonna happen.
So finally we went to Takayama, where the famous food is
Hida beef.
Hida
Hida
beef.
beef.
Oh, before that, we forgot in Kumamoto, me and Philip ate horse meat,
Raw.
Yeah.
raw
yeah.
horse meat.
It is a
So-
subject I want to talk about, like everything's raw in Japan.
So yeah, we ate bagashi.
What?
You know bagashi?
Basashi. I was just like,
Bagashi.
what? I thought you were gonna say like wagashi, which is like
Yeah,
Japanese
wagashi
sweet.
is a Japanese sweet. Yeah.
What?
Fusion is basashi. Well, anyway.
So the culture of Japan is that many things get eaten raw. You start with fish, which is very common also in other countries. I never had it much, but I love it now. And then you can have raw other stuff like raw shrimp or shellfish, which we had 1.5 years ago, and we had it so fresh. And I wanted to spend some money in an expensive restaurant and have like fresh crab. And they brought the plate with the seafood, and the shrimp were so raw they moved on the plate. And it was like alien. It was like
Yeah. yeah. If you pour like soy sauce on it, they move.
I
right?
hate that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So we had to ask them to bake it. I didn't want to put it in my mouth. I didn't want to have a facehugger in my mouth. I didn't enjoy that. And we finally tried with Paolo's specialty, that's raw horse meat, which I never had horse meat before, let alone raw. Have you ever had raw horse meat?
I had raw meat in other like situations, but usually it's beef.
So I would be scared to get some kind of an illness. In my country, it's absolutely insane, unheard of to eat anything raw, like even eggs you can't eat raw. My mother freaks out if I mention that I
Eggs
didn't
is dangerous in a
fully
lot of
cook the eggs.
countries.
Yeah.
Actually.
In Japan, every day, everywhere, raw eggs all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be safe to eat raw horse, which was nice. I liked it. It was much better than I expected.
It's good.
Yeah, it was really good.
And then you can eat raw beef, which we also had the other day. It's really chewy. I would much rather fry that. And then you can have raw chicken, which is supposed to be like dangerous. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
you
sure,
have to
it's-
eat it within a certain window.
Okay.
I heard like after they prepare it, you have like 10 minutes.
10
or-
minutes?
Or 5 minutes.
5
to eat
minutes?
it, Something
you
like
have
that.
to eat it right away.
Oh
Yeah, or you
God.
get salmonella. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they kill it on your table? Like,
I've never had it.
I don't think they can.
I would not eat it.
They have it even at the hamazushi, but no one orders it.
really? Well,
Yeah, it's not
yeah.
a thing.
Yeah, we're terrified
if
to
somebody
order it.
Yeah, I
orders
would
it, they
never
like,
order
they
from
like run to
Matsumoto.
catch a live chicken, or what happens?
I told them.
That's crazy. All these raw things always remind me of the scene in the Hitchhiker's Guide of the Galaxy, where they go to the restaurant at the end of the universe, and you can order a specialized dish where you have a talking cow that walks on the plate, and you have a philosophical discussion with the cow, and when you discover the meaning of life, you eat it, and it begs you to eat it.
Oh my
It's
god.
so disturbing. So I don't want raw stuff much, but yeah, raw horse is nice.
Okay.
It's not moving. It's not like jumping around on the table.
Yeah, you don't even know which part of the horse it was.
Yeah, it's a secret.
Yeah, it's a
To
secret.
be honest, like in Italy, we eat a lot of like raw pork, but it's usually salted pork,
Oh,
like salami and like raw sausage and things
I had
like
no
that.
idea.
Raw ham.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
Yeah.
do people feel like it's safe?
Yeah, salted is perfectly safe.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
salted.
It kills like the salt and the cold kill all the bacteria.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, with us, we do eat like pork, pig blood, a lot in the Philippines.
Oh, that's the one thing I hate. I hate duck blood, pig blood, all the bloods.
I hate that too.
I can't
Like
stand it.
blood soup is the worst.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that. Like when we went to Izu.
Yeah, we talked about how in Czech Republic they have these events where they buy a whole pig and they cut it in half and they hang it in the middle of the village or somewhere.
Yeah.
And they just take the intestines and all the internal organs and the blood, they drain the blood and they make the soup and all these like sausages, and I hate that so much.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that and how much you hate sausages out after that. It was so funny.
Yeah, so to mention the last place, as far as food and mascots are concerned, Hida beef in Takayama.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's horribly overpriced.
Yes.
It's not as expensive as Matsusaka or Kobe beef though.
Yeah.
So Kobe beef is the most.
Kobe beef
It's
is
not the most expensive. I think there is another one which is more expensive.
And Matsusaka.
I think it's Matsusaka.
I've never heard of that.
No. I think it depends. Yeah, it's probably Matsusaka that's more expensive, but
So Matsusaka you can get where?
in Mie,
Okay.
in Matsusaka City, I believe.
Alright.
Yeah, I've never tried it. I've only tried Kobe beef because I used to work at a Kobe beef restaurant. I got it for free.
Oh.
So
So tell us more. What
oh wow,
does it taste like?
it's so fatty. Like it oozes fat, so that's why it melts instantly in your mouth. It's great, but maybe not too much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it worth the price in your opinion?
I can see why it's expensive. Definitely, it is good, but not too much. Like any expensive thing, like not too much, right? Yeah, it's something that I think people should try, like once in their life.
I know nothing about any of these beefs, and to me it just looks like beef. And I don't want to spend 7,000 yen on a beef steak. So I'm not sure.
I mean, like,
Fair enough.
I guess like what makes it unique is how they groom the cows
Yeah.
to get this kind of beef. Do you guys know that
Yeah.
what they do?
They,
Well,
like,
I don't know
massage
the
belly.
exact things, but I do know that they treat cows different ways, like feed
Yeah.
them different things, give them massages
Yeah.
and other stuff.
Yeah, here they feed them beer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
right?
that
Yeah. So they get fat.
one.
This is basically. That's
So what did
basically
you
it.
think about Hida beef, you guys? Yeah.
Well, I loved the Hida beef that we got on a stick at the end of our trip, but I didn't feel like it was like different beef. I just thought like it was very well prepared, high quality beef. Like I didn't feel like it's
It's a different.
it's like different. I can't tell with these beefs.
Yeah.
I could tell like a big difference.
Really?
Like when I had the like in our donbori and even the steak, I thought it tasted like a really different beef, and not comparing to like the matsuya and whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, just beef. It did have a different taste
Okay.
to me.
You shouldn't listen to me because I barely eat it. I don't know anything. So, what do you think, Paolo?
No, I feel like so eating the gyudon, like it felt like a different.
Gyudon is
flavor.
a rice bowl with beef on top.
Yeah, it's the beef bowl. Felt like different. Now, of course, like my main comparison is the Matsuya one, which is like the really cheap one. But at the same time, it felt like a different quality of beef.
Okay. So one last thing to mention was the mascot in Takayama. It's called Sarubobo. It looks like a strange baby.
Let's grab it. Let's pull it out.
Strange.
Got one
baby.
right here. So mine is red and small, but it looks like this baby, like you know, like when you make babies laugh and they kind of like kick at you and like try to reach for you. So imagine like a laughing baby. So it's got that position, but it's got no face. and it comes to different colors.
It's like a horror
And
story.
exactly, and it's wearing a bonnet and like this little baby apron, but the back is out, so its cute little butt
And
is
it's,
showing.
well, of course, but
Yeah.
it's blood red.
Yeah, mine is blood red, but you can get different colors.
But usually most of them are blood red.
Yeah, but they come in all sizes. I got like a little teeny one, but there's like big giant ones like the size of a real baby with like double the head size.
So the story or the legend or the fortune, I don't know how to describe this, is that people come to this area to pray for safe and good birth and a nice family and the health of their children. So I had somebody tell me that they traveled here to pray at the shrine and have good luck with their newborn daughter. So that's like the area to go to if you want to start a family and have some good luck charms for that. Which is
Yeah.
also interesting that you have like specialized places to pray for specialized things in Japan.
Yeah, it's nice though.
What happened last week?
On this part, we usually talk about news, and when we have some guests, we discuss what's their experience and view is of Japan. And because we have 2 new guests, I will not ask anything about Napi-chan. Napi-chan can suck it. so we talked about what memorable and interesting experiences we had in Japan, and we talked about doctors. I also had a strange experience with the dentist, because I don't speak Japanese that well and I was very scared. So I can understand how it can be weird. And Paolo had a very similar feeling when he went to the doctor.
So yeah, I had to go to this dermatologist clinic, and it's a very, very tiny clinic near my house. So the whole clinic was just 2 rooms. One was the waiting room with the reception, and the other one was the doctor's office, basically. First, of course, you go to the reception, you say, you know, this is my name, blah, blah, blah. You do some paperwork because, of course, it's Japan. And then at some point, you can hear the voice of the doctor just calling you. Like, there's no interphone, no one. It's just like the doctor screaming your name until you go there.
That's normal in Czech Republic, by the way.
That's totally not normal in Italy. In Italy, usually they say the number. Anyway, so you go to the doctor's office, and the doctor was not wearing like a white coat or a scrub or anything. Like, he was wearing this bright pink polo shirt with suspenders and and jeans.
That would make me very concerned if I saw a person like that
Yeah.
coming to examine me.
And it was like maybe in his late 50s, early 60s, sitting on his chair at his desk, and he looked like a very, very tired accountant. And you know, he asked me something in very broken English. He could speak some English, but yeah, it was kind of broken. The way it worked after that was, so I had to get an injection. So they took me to the bed to give me the injection. In the meantime, the doctor didn't give any shit. He just called the next person, who was this very little child.
Okay.
And the child with the mother, they came in. And
In the same room?
yeah, in the meantime, I was getting my injection. And I'm super scared of injections, so I was like trembling and like I had my eyes closed. The child was like looking at me like, what is going on? Are they torturing this person? And she started crying. And
child?
Yeah. She was very young, like she might have been like, I don't know, 3 or 4. So that must have looked like really scary to her.
Shame on you scaring children so badly.
Yeah, I know. And then after doing that, you know, I just left the room, and the guy was just like, yeah, orejini, bye-bye. And he didn't even stand up or anything, which I guess is normal. It's just like, it's so different from any other like Japanese like customer service experience. It felt much more like, you know, Southern Italy, like, yeah, come in, okay, yeah, now get the fuck off. That's how it felt like. Which for Japan was like really unusual.
I didn't have the same with the dentist.
Yeah.
I have the same fear about the dentists. I hate dentists. Like, you'll hate syringes and needles. And the scariest thing was the machine for the shoes. because you have to like push a button and then the shoes slide out, being disinfected from this machine. And when you go outside, you have to feed the shoes into this machine and push a different button. It like sucks them in. I hate that.
If you ever go bowling in Japan, it's actually the same. Or also if you go to like a cat cafe.
You have to have your shoes sucked in a machine.
Yeah, some cat cafes, yes.
Okay. But when I was waiting at the dentist, I found this table full of books for people to read. I guess it were supposed to be children books, but they had this picture book where a toothbrush was depicted as a train and it ran into people's mouths.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
They had like light to shine light into mouth, and then the front I kept like brushing on these teeth. It crept me out. So I took another book and it was an issue of Oshiritante. The butt detective.
Yeah, your favorite comic.
So I was very disturbed, and after they admitted me, I sat down on the chair. They played Frozen. And they started singing Frozen songs in front of me on the screen. They calmed me down, I guess. And then the guy did the check of my teeth, and I always have a lot of problems. So they found like 4 cavities or something, and like very small, but 4. And he kept like explaining it, and he kept taking pictures of my teeth and how he kept like jabbing them with the metal needle. I started bleeding, and they kept showing me these like pictures of my bleeding teeth, and I hate that. It makes me sick, and I hate looking at the teeth. So they kept showing me, and it was like, look at this, do you understand this is the problem, and what do you want to do about it, and we can like fix it. I was like, okay, just fix it, don't fucking show me these pictures, I don't want to see any of this. And then then they were like, okay, we will do it. So they fixed my tooth, and then more pictures, and he took more pictures of the fixed tooth, and they showed me the pictures again, and I didn't know they were showing me the pictures of the problem. And I was like, yeah, it looks perfect, it's done, thank you so much. And the guy was like, but wait. I was like, no, I'm fine, it's great, thank you. And he was like, but this is the cavity I'm showing you on the picture, and let's look at the correct picture, the repaired tooth. So that was an experience I
Did you
hated.
open like an Instagram account for your teeth?
Maybe. I don't know. But the lady knows me very well, and it's not far from Paolo, and you can visit.
Yeah, actually I have to go to the dentist at some point.
It's a nice place. I was looking very hard for a dentist because they don't inspire any confidence in me. There's more dentists than convenience stores in Japan.
Yeah, like that's insane, there are so many.
Sara, did you think of anything you'd like to talk about?
I actually did think of something.
Okay.
Which happened also during this trip. So it's not really like a story, but it's like a collection, I don't know, general thing. So I'm Filipino, but I look Japanese. Like I can pass off as Japanese very easily, and I guess my accent when I speak Japanese is what people think is close to natural or close to native.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I'm with a non-Asian and like a Japanese person needs to talk to this person, they'll always face me. And like, even if I have like no connection with what's going on, they'll just look at me and like they're talking, they're like, it's directed to the other person. It's just their eyes are just like focused on me. It's like, what the hell just happened?
It's more emphasized that I am here because they never want to look at me.
Yeah, it's just so funny. Like it happened when we checked in our hotel in Matsumoto, and like they were explaining something.
It kind of makes sense that they want to be sure you could understand, but doesn't make sense with me and Chen.
Well, it's just funny because like this lady, like so we were getting some information, some documents or whatever, paperwork, and like Paolo was clearly in front, and I was just right there, and she just, I don't know, pushed her way to give it to me. Like I think it was the key or something. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
So
She completely bypassed me, despite the fact that I was speaking in Japanese, and like the reservation was made in my name and everything else, and I was signing something.
She's like right in front of Paolo, like giving it to me. It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
And I don't get it. Like, come come on. He's clearly speaking Japanese.
Yeah. It happens to me all the time. I try to speak Japanese. It's on my name, and they never look at me. I always look at Chan.
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, for y'all out there that don't know, I'm black, so this is the only time I get any attention. Japanese people try to talk to me instead of trying to speak to Philip. Suddenly, I exist and he's speaking, and they're looking at me asking, "Do I want a bag? Do I have a point card?" And I don't even answer them. I just stare at them. I understand them, but he's speaking, so I'm just looking. My mouth stopped moving. He's speaking, and they keep looking at me and nodding. Okay.
So they're talking to me. We're having a conversation, but they're never looking at me.
And they're just speaking to me, who just has this blank face, just listening to what's going on.
Maybe they're just thinking that it's a voiceover for you.
Right.
Should be just opening your mouth next time and pretending you're talking.
Right, I should.
It's more like they think you're like some sort of like Yakuza boss. They have like
I'm really silent,
the
that's
person.
all.
They have like the person that speaks for them. Like the proper Japanese manners, if you watch like movies or drama or things like that, is that when there is like the important guy, like the Yakuza boss or something like that, like the boss never speaks. Another person is speaking, but the person they having a conversation with is always talking to the boss, because they know that the boss is the one taking the decisions.
Okay.
That one time though, that one lady, you know how they have, right now, since it's the like COVID-19 crisis, they have a lot of like plastic flaps in front of the like checkout desks. And one time Philip just walked up there and he was talking to the lady. She bent around the corner. I wasn't even at the desk. I was still in the like walkway before the desk, and she was like, "Do you want a bag? Do you There's a giant gap between us. I didn't even know what was going on.
Paolo explained it very well. Obviously, you're the boss-looking type, and I'm just like the person who cannot be talked to. But I will answer the questions. So they have to pretend like they're talking to you, and then I'll answer the questions.
So funny.
But talking about people evading us, I think we never mentioned this, but many times when we walk on the street, people try to very, very aggressively evade. Like I get it when we go around the corner and they don't expect it, they like get a little bit spooked. But sometimes they jump away and they like jump 2 meters away because we just went around the corner. So okay, I still get it. Sometimes when I ride the bicycle, I ride on the pavement, and it's very wide. I wouldn't do it if it was narrow. And there's like 1 meter, 2 meter space. And I saw a lady the other day carrying like a bag of groceries, and I was on the very other side with the bicycle. There was so much space, and she like pressed herself on the wall and she like hugged the bag. So, and I just passed. I was like, does she think I'm gonna snatch it and like kill her or something? Why does she like try to go so much to the side? I don't understand. But the most ridiculous we ever experienced with Chan.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
Was that we were walking on the sidewalk, and the road was like a little bit narrow, so they put a fence, and the sidewalk was also narrow, but it was very comfortable to walk there next to each other. So we were walking next to each other, and I made space. I walked in front of Chan, so the man in front of us could pass next to us very easily, no problem. And he kept walking towards me. I looked very nervous, and then he climbed over the fence on the road.
It was like the highway.
It wasn't the highway.
It was the fast part downhill, like their house.
So he would rather die than to pass us on the sidewalk.
The most ridiculous is that other lady that jumped on the sidewalk, that jumped almost into the street.
Yeah.
Because, some lady was standing on the corner, and this was an actual sidewalk, and so like, 6 people could walk side by side. And we just went around the corner, and just walking normal speed, and she happened to turn when we came around the corner, and she went, and she almost jumped into the street to get away from us. We was like, okay.
The invasion has begun.
Hey, that's it. Is that Mount Fuji? It's Mount Fuji.
Yeah.
Nice. He's back.
Sorry, there you go.
Guess who's back?
We're talking about Mount Fuji.
we just have Mount Fuji. That's actually one thing I want to briefly mention. That it's very, very eerie to me, or like menacing. Very often it happened to me that I was somewhere watching the scenery, and I haven't noticed Mount Fuji for
like 30 minutes or 1 hour or longer. And then you look up and it's there. It's like this huge mountain. It's like menacing over me in the clouds.
Yep.
And it happened to me recently on a trip. We were on top of a hill and there was like a tea farm and everything. And you look and there's a huge ass mountain. And I didn't see it for like 2 hours. I was like, what? The other day I was at the beach in Enoshima and I was swimming and I was in the sea for I don't know how long, and it took me so long to see that it was above the clouds, and I got scared that I didn't see it before. I was like, I see it like out of nowhere. It's like the most obnoxious, biggest thing ever that's the most hidden. I guess it's like the sneaker club or something.
It's a sneaker mountain.
Yeah.
Has it happened to you that you haven't seen it and then you suddenly like realize it's been there all along? Like,
Sometimes, I guess.
Where I am usually, I can't really see Mount Fuji, so I can't really say.
I'd say it's like playing a game of like, where's Waldo? But in this case, it's like Waldo's looking for you.
Yes.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
yes, in your face, very much so.
It's like right
So
there.
it's like, I've been watching you this whole time. When you finally find Fuji.
It's the brand name of the week. Get ready, it will be weird.
Doctor, I have trouble.
What kind of trouble, my young woman?
Young? my English は、very なんだっけ very bad. What do?
What you need, my young friend, is a dose of good old freedom. Here at American Drugs, we can serve all the hamburgers, hot dogs, and oaks you need.
Hot dog? ハンバどういう意味 What is that?
Just open your mouth and accept the freedom.
はい
Doggone it! I think I can speak English now. Thank you, Doc.
American drug, you free my speech. American drug, open my larynx. Where were you all those years ago when I started saying potato? American drug, I can finally speak.
Japanese video.
So on this part we discuss media, Japanese characters and interesting shows. And of course I have to ask the guests what they feel like is the weirdest or strangest character in a show in Japan.
Well, of course there are a lot of lots of anime, but recently I've been watching dramas to practice Japanese. Dramas are like any Japanese TV show, like any Japanese TV series, they all call them dramas for no reason. So there is this one which is pretty famous, it's called Osan's Love.
Osan's Law?
Yeah, Osan's Love. Osan's in Japanese means like middle-aged man.
Okay.
So it's like love of the middle-aged man.
Oh, it's love, okay.
Yeah.
Middle-aged man's love.
Yeah. And so the story basically is there is this guy who's works at this it's like a real estate company, and he's like a super loser, but for whatever reason but he's kohai, so it's like his new like coworker, younger coworker, who's like his apprentice, and his boss completely fall in love for him. And despite the fact that in theory, like he likes women, and so it's kind of like this very strange variation of the classic like triangle story, where instead of having like people who are attracted to each other, is like these two men fighting for this third man who doesn't like men.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, and especially like the boss, he's married, so actually wants to divorce to start dating like the main character.
So he's gay?
Yeah, he kind of like finds out that he's gay, but he's only in love with this, like with the main character.
Okay.
He doesn't care about any other man. He's only interested in the main character. And so like there is like this additional part of the story where like the wife, who's soon to become like former wife, at the beginning thinks that the main character is a woman. There's also like all sorts of like misunderstandings and things. It's really funny, but it is very confusing at times.
So how old is this? Is it
It's
recent?
from 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
They also made a movie and season 2. I didn't watch it.
So that's 2 seasons, and how many episodes would you say?
One season is 10 episodes.
Okay, it's not so long. Would you call this progressive? Because I felt like in Japan people frown upon homosexuality.
With the fact that it's drama, a little bit, but to be honest, I don't think so. Like, the weird thing about Japan is that, like, compared, like, for example, in Europe, there are a lot of countries that don't have any homosexual relationship in any media. In Japan, it's pretty common. Like, it has been common for a very long time. Like, if you remember, like, Sailor Moon had, like, a homosexual relationship for, like, 30 years ago.
I wouldn't remember who's who in Sailor Moon, like you listened to last episode, so I don't know.
But at the same time, I feel like they accept it as a form of fiction, but they don't want to accept it in like as a reality.
Yeah, it's kind of a strange thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like the opposite of Europe.
I didn't know. Yeah. So would you recommend this show?
Yeah, it's super fun. I would definitely recommend it. I would recommend a lot of dramas. They're all very strange. Like, this is an example. Another one is Otona no Koko, which is high school for adults. Which is, the story is that the Japanese government is concerned because adults are, for whatever reason, they're not having sex. So it's recruiting these virgins and making them go to this weekend high school until they graduate. And graduating means like losing their virginity. Yeah, that's the story. It's actually really fun. Even though it doesn't really make sense, because like one of the persons, like one of the students in this high school, like it's not like he doesn't have sex because he's like he can get a woman. It's just that he's gay. But at the beginning, like they don't say that he's gay. Like it's kind of like revealed throughout the story. It is really funny.
It's definitely original.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
Another one that is like completely absurd is called Mosaic Japan.
Mosaic?
Yeah. For those who don't know, mosaic in Japanese means like the censorship on like in porn videos.
Oh.
That's
They
mosaic.
call that mosaic.
They call that mosaic. Yeah.
Wow.
So they call that mosaic, and so Mosaic Japan is the story of this guy who is from the countryside, and he worked in Tokyo, but he quit his company. He wants to come back to his village in the countryside, and when he gets back there, he finds out that basically they're all working for this big company. Now like everyone in the village, including his parents and his friends, are now working for this big company. And he thinks it's like a normal company, but he quickly finds out that it's actually a company that makes like porn videos, like adult videos.
Abichan, fuck off.
And yeah, so he gets involved in like the production of these adult videos. It is funny, but it's a bit more serious. It reflects on all those things. For example, the absurdity of the fact that like Japan still has censorship.
Is this one recent?
Maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay, it's very recent.
Yeah.
So are you able to understand it in Japanese, or how do you watch it?
Yeah, I watch it in Japanese, with Japanese sub. It's fairly easy to understand. There are only like a few parts that are a little hard. Pun intended.
Alright, so thanks for the show description, for recommendations.
The thought of the day.
on this part we discuss idea and question, and this time I'll try to make it understandable and a bit shorter, since we have new people on the podcast.
Okay, 10 seconds in.
Okay, already failing. So the question is simple. Is making no decision worse than making a bad decision? So I have talked about this similar things before. So I feel like that the more I try to spend things, I'm happier than if I'm trying to save things and be undecisive. So, for example, if you have a difficult decision and people have these problems and second thoughts and they in two minds about stuff, very often they just get frozen and they don't choose anything, and they just like, okay, I'm not going to choose anything. And I like Picard from Star Trek, and he says the best tip for a commander on a starship is that if you're not making a decision, it's the worst decision you can ever make. And I feel like if you are doing something in your life, very often, obviously, you will feel like that there is something you don't enjoy, don't like, or don't want to happen. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything. You have to spend your life somehow. And I feel like many people feel or have the mindset of, like, I'm not going to spend my life because it's dangerous. And then they end up doing something they didn't want to do, or they end up doing something they want to do very late. And I just accepted recently that even if I don't necessarily feel like it's the best choice, it's a choice, and it's much better to do this than not do anything. And even if you make a bad choice, it's better, in my opinion, to come and repair this problem or redo it and have the experience of the bad decision than still having not made any decision. So the question is still the same. Is no decision worse than a bad decision? What do you think?
Honestly, for me, making no decision is a decision in itself. So it's not exactly nothing.
Okay.
First of all, like, let's say it depends on the situation. Like, if you make no decision, that is your decision. But the thing is, a bad decision, who decides if it's a bad decision or not? Like, you decide it's a bad decision if the outcome ends up being bad, right? So at first, you don't really think about it. And honestly, like, with everything going on, there's no real harm in making some decisions anyway. So whether or not it's bad, it's gonna happen. Like you said, right? Things are going to be out of your control because this is your choice. Other people will treat it differently. And whatever, right? You made that choice. I guess the problem with a lot of people, like, they're just scared to jump into things. Like, they're scared to try something out because they just want to live comfortably all the time. But the thing is, that's not how life is.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So at some point, even if someone keeps saying, okay, fine, I'm not gonna decide, I'm gonna make any decision, at the end of the day, you still have to make a decision, whether it was bad, good, whatever.
I feel like there are two situations that one of them is they don't make a decision and you decide to not make a decision, and that's like what you're talking about.
Yes, yeah.
But another thing that's very common is that people have a very difficult choice.
Yeah.
They pretend like it's not there, and they keep doing anything but that, not doing anything.
Yeah, either way, like, it's still gonna be the same thing at the end of the day.
Or even more, people are in a comfortable place and they don't want to have any decision made that they would...
Or they'll make someone else do the decision making for them.
And then they kept just being nudged into things that they haven't decided. And the people who nudge them into things that they will eventually do, they don't care about them. Then
you're just gonna... Yeah, it is sad because, like, you're just building your own hole, and now you have to make that decision at the end of the day, unless you're gonna die in this situation, in this hole, like, rot there forever.
I mean, so, like, making a decision that could be bad, but it could be life-changing. Is that what you're trying to talk about? Okay.
Yeah, so...
Just trying to clarify.
Yeah, please. That's why I'm not talking in the closet now. That's why...
Oh, so you mean like those people that might have a nice, like, life, let's say they live a decent life, whatever, it's average, but maybe it could be different or even better if they took some risks, but it could also fall apart.
And I feel like they're secretly being sad that they haven't tried it.
So you're talking more like regrets.
Yeah,
like better to have loved
Yeah.
and lost than to never loved
So,
at all.
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have changed my mind. I felt like all my life I felt like better to have loved than never love again, whatever. I felt like that was bullshit. I don't want to be heartbroken. But maybe I'm just an old man now, but I feel like I agree with that now. I feel like I would rather do something that would eventually fail but have the experience than just sit there and do nothing.
You won't know until you try something. I mean, like...
Some people don't want to try stuff.
Well, like, I mean, that is true. Like, I mean, that's your decision. But the thing is, I guess with all of us, right, moving to a country with a completely different language and everything, this is a huge risk.
But even if we didn't like it, we could
Yeah.
still easily come back and stop it. Even if you're thinking, should I like have this job? Should I go to this university? You could still do something else later. Like it doesn't mean that you're set for life.
True.
And having the power to change it gives you some clarity into what you want. And if you don't have that, you will have a very bad feeling about not choosing anything and not like a fulfilling life. I feel like so that's what I meant.
What do you think, Paolo?
I still like the way Philip used to think before. Like I used to think the same way, and I still feel the same way. I think it's not really about making decisions. I think the whole problem is more about accepting. Like it's more about pride. Let's put it this way. Kind of like accepting the fact that you might be wrong. To give you an example, let's say you can be like jobs or like partners. You keep inviting someone and they never accept. For lots of people, it's kind of like, yeah, well, you know, if you ask this girl out and she says no, you can ask another girl. At least you know. But I still feel like for some people, and like I'm one of those, still hearing no, or like knowing that that's not going to happen, it really hurts. And I can't do that over and over again.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like because I feel like at some point I'll just break if I do that. And the other thing is like accepting that, you know, you might lose sometimes, which again is something that it's difficult to accept, especially for someone who's like hyper competitive like me. So that again, taking the decision that might go wrong is not only about the decision itself, it's more about you. Like everything is a judgment on you and who you are. So that if you invite something out for dinner and they say no, it's not just that, it's like a judgment on you and how valuable you are as a person. Now, that's a very toxic way of going about life, and I perfectly understand that, but I think it makes sense not to take the step forward and just like, you know, avoiding taking a decision, avoiding trying to do something.
I would agree that it makes sense with decisions that are repeated, like you said, the partners and on dates. You could be very depressed and broken after very bad experiences. But I meant more like a big life events, like do I take this job? So just
but again, like if you take this job and you accept it and then it goes badly, like as you said, you can always go back. Or like we came to Japan, right? And we can always go back to our own countries. Yeah, sure, but it's really hard to swallow your pride and say, oh yeah, I tried this and it didn't work.
Yeah, I don't think I have a problem with that.
Like I would have a big problem.
Okay.
Like I'm not saying that's a necessarily good thing. Like probably it's not, but
I would. Well, if I wasn't happy here, I would probably try a different country. I wouldn't go back to my country.
yeah, like okay, but I mean, just like changing the idea of like saying, you know, I tried this and it didn't work, so I'm going to try something different.
Yeah, that's what I
like. Yeah, like I think that's the right way to go about life. But at the same time, I think it's hard if you're a certain kind of personality.
It's definitely hard, and I feel like you can get hurt, and you can get like discouraged, and it can be very unpleasant. But at the end of the day, I feel like it makes you feel better afterwards. Like if you go through
that's
it.
true.
So if you push through a bit, then I feel like you're eventually much happier than if you just try to be comfortable.
Well, my recommendation is always like never be like me. So
That's okay,
not
well,
true.
there we go.
That's not a nice thing to say about yourself.
hey, that's fine.
Yeah, everyone thinks differently, I think. We all have our ways of dealing with. Like, I just stopped caring already about. But again, like I still respect how Paolo is. Like if this is how he is.
There's nothing to respect. It's a very bad, bad position.
I mean, like,
Say that.
I believe that.
I mean,
believe
if
that
it
it's
works for you,
Yeah, exactly.
then it's fine,
It
right?
doesn't work for me.
Well,
I don't think it works for anyone.
then I don't know anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that it's a good way. I'm just saying that some people have that mindset.
It's true.
I mean, it's kind of like, so what I want to say rather is not really that it's good and it has to be accepted. It's more like it has to be understood. Like, so we all had that situation whether we played one of these two roles. The friend saying, oh yeah, ask the girl out, or ask that boy out, or whatever, ask that horse out, whatever you like. Has that person out. And the other person saying, I don't know, and like the friend saying, yeah, whatever, like the sea is full of fish, whatever, things like that. We've all been in that situation, and I think like that's the wrong interaction. Because like if the person is saying no, like again, I don't think that's the right approach necessarily. Like probably it's not. But just saying like, yeah, as a friend, like I don't care and you should be the same, like I think that's not like the right way to go about it. That's my point.
Okay.
Yeah. But I still think it doesn't make any sense. Like, so for example, if you have the opportunity to come to Japan to work and you don't take it because you're scared or whatever, and like you choose to not take the decision, right? It shouldn't be like seen as, oh well, I would do it, so you should do it. It should be like understood, like, okay, why is this a problem? And probably it will come down to like low self-esteem or like too high self-esteem and pride and things like that. Like one of my favorite books, since Philip said that I like books. One of my favorite books says something really interesting, which is like the persons with the lowest self-esteem are the person who are the most prideful. Which I think is extremely true. Like if you have super low self-esteem, like you're really afraid to show how bad you think you are and how bad like actually you are. So like you tend to, even if you joke about it, like you tend to be extremely proud or whatever.
That makes sense.
So then that really hurts like the whole thing of like making a decision or like taking
At the
something.
same time, you could use it and be like very confident and show off how boldly you made this decision and use it as a reasoning why this was like a prideful decision, even if it failed, because you went ahead and boldly, bravely did something. So you can still look at it in a...
Yeah, but if you have low self-esteem, then you don't trust your own decision, so you
But
rather
that's the
not
point,
take
that's
them.
what I meant with this whole discussion. Like,
Yeah.
if you just think about it differently, you don't really have to have the confidence.
No, I agree. I prefer. I completely agree, but that's why I think it's not a good way to go about things. It's just that I just want to say that like people who go like about life this way exist, and this is the reason. I'm just saying that it should be understood. I'm not saying that it's correct or like should be accepted.
I was just going to say, first of all, I think it's always a bad decision to take some kind of risk if you think that somehow, some way, the outcome is truly going to be worse than the benefit, and something you can't bounce back from if it goes badly. So, like, not that you can't do it, but I just think it's a poor choice if there's not a good chance that it's going to happen. I mean, good, like, not good, like, am I going to be famous or not going to become famous or something like that? But I mean, like, if you used all of your money to go to some other country for some reason, and then, like, I mean, unless you make money, you're going to be fucked. So, I mean, like, don't make rash decisions.
It's also a very good point.
So, yeah, unless it's just necessary, then, yeah. So, in that case, it's bad. But...
Just one very small thing I read, I think, talking about books, or in June, I think it was, they should differentiate with gamble and risk. So risk, you have risk to do something, and it's like a good chance it will happen, maybe not, but it's a risk. But gamble, it's like something will happen.
So no gambling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I mean. No, not gambling. In terms of like other things, and I mean that not just personal, maybe it's other people you know, other things if it's going to affect other people's lives too, whatever, in a bad way. But on the other hand, if there's something out there like I don't know, you studied chemistry in school instead of studying physics, I don't know, maybe you'd have an amazing life if you'd studied physics instead of the other. But the thing is, if you're just happy with your life, there are some things that obviously can make people happier. But if you truly are just happy, there's no reason to take those risks or maybe bad decisions. If you're just happy, then fine. And I don't mean happy like your house is burning down and you're like, this is fine, like that dog in that picture. I mean, like, if you truly like the person you're with, if you truly like your family, if you like your job, if there's nothing you want to change literally because you like it all, well then fine. I think it's okay to just live, just be, as long as you're not bothering others.
I don't really agree with this in the sense that many people live their life so that it will never change again, and I feel like they're just stagnating and dying. It makes me sad.
So some people like it that way.
So it makes me just upset, because if your life isn't going anywhere, why is it? Like, I'm not saying like go and die, but I'm saying like, isn't there at least something you would like to do? Like it's just like there is so many people I know that are so comfortable and they just have the same thing all the time. And I'm so sad because they could be doing so much. And I could see them being so happy, like if they just changed one small thing. And they will never change them because they live by what you just said. They like, I am happy, I don't need anything. Of course you don't need anything. If I live under a bridge, I don't need anything. I will survive. But it's not a life worth living. Like, it's not like...
But it is to them. I'm saying you gotta take it like their point of view. Well, the way I'm thinking about it is in a way that, like, one time I read some article about some lady and she was talking about how everyone should have children, and I'm open to just listening to what people say, as long as they, you know, came out with a real argument and not just saying stuff. But she was talking about how she was some person that never wanted to have like kids, didn't like anything about them, blah 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 blah. And by the end of the article, she was just saying how like it completely changed her life. Everyone should have this experience, even if you don't want it. It's like you do want it in the end. But then what my point is that even after reading the article, and I read this earlier in my 20s when I didn't feel like I wanted kids ever, but the point is like, I don't care if that thing could make me this happy. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I really did like not having a kid, and it was like, I'm sure it was great for her, and I'm sure it's great for anyone, but her saying this thing, like, you must do it and you must have it. I was like, no, you can have a perfectly fine life without doing that. Yeah. So that's what I mean by the decision. That's the big thing, but it's not going to define your happiness if you don't do that.
I think that's also like one thing. You're taking away someone's decision-making power. And I think what makes us human as well is the freedom to actually make a decision. And one, if you're imposing something, you're taking away that decision-making power. And it's also the same with killing yourself. You're taking away your right to decide because of this one decision that you make. Because you're just ending everything. You don't want to decide anymore.
It's a bit extreme, but okay.
It's a bit extreme. No, but like, you just don't want to. You don't want to make decisions anymore. So you'll just end everything by making this last decision. So it is well, for me, it's a bad decision. I'm against suicide, by the way. Yeah. Please don't.
No.
I mean, I'm addressing people, like, if you're sad or everything, just like an idea.
Yeah, of course, don't take away people's power to decide.
I'll show you the other way of making a risk, then, since you're saying people shouldn't take, like, risks or whatever. So...
Monkey!
Keep that in. Okay. So...
Monkey and Nabi-chan monkey.
So, like, for instance, when I went to school, I could choose if I was going to just do nothing but loans and scholarships, whatever, or get some work experience and like start like my first job. Like, I didn't have to, but I was like, I should probably do this. I was obviously going to get a job at some point in the future, but the problem was I never had a job before, and I didn't even speak to people. Like, I just didn't talk. Like, most of school, I didn't say anything because I hated everyone. I thought everyone was a fucking bastard. And so I just didn't say anything. Well, I mean, when you grow up in a place where everybody's the same, but everybody constantly points out that you're an outsider, and it doesn't help to be a race where you're an outsider all around the world. So you get pretty angry when you're younger with everything going on. So I didn't speak. And so I had a choice to pick a job where I was constantly going to have to be talking to people. I was going to be the information person. Or, like, I could go and, like, do, like, putting some... They had another, like, data job or something, like, on the campus, like, helping some teacher. So I chose the information one. I was like, I'm just going to do it. Like, I was having anxiety for, like, the whole time up until my first day of the job. And then I was just like... Okay, it's the last minute before it's my shift. Like, I just have to do it. I just have to. Either I'm going to choose to do it or I'm not going to do it. Okay. So I just did it. And over time, it did make me better at being able to handle things like conversations or speaking to people. And I still get all kinds of anxiety when I have to meet a new client because I think it's a pain in the ass. But years ago, no one could have even imagined that I would be someone leading a conversation and having to talk to several people daily, constantly. Maybe in that case, there's no bad side to it. Like, I took a risk, but it wasn't like something horrible is going to happen other than me having a panic attack. But it was like I was kind of happy being angry or happy not liking people and happy not talking to people. But I just changed it for reasons, and I'm equally or more happy now, I guess. But it has at least opened many other opportunities to do so.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
But to rephrase it one final time, I would say that in my point of view, if you feel like it's not a gamble, if you feel like it's just a risk, and you feel like you want this, like something that you want to do, and you're scared because it might not work out, it's a risk, and it's not a gamble, it's not a small chance that it would succeed. So I feel like you should do it, whatever it is. But please don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
So if you have any comment or if you want to answer how do you feel about this, please send us a comment to mind.japan@gmail.com or comments on any social media which I don't read. So thanks a lot for recording traveling podcast episodes. And how do you feel about recording this? Sara hasn't never done this before, I guess.
Well, yeah, I've never done it. I mean, like, I've done video work before in my previous job, but like not like this. But it's fun. It's fun, like sharing ideas. It's fun talking about different random things.
Okay.
It's great.
For new guests, we usually had a tradition to have a challenge at the end to say something in Czech, in my language.
Oh, what? Okay, what am I gonna say?
What do you want to say?
I don't know.
What do you want to say to the listeners of this podcast?
How do you say don't kill yourself?
Nespáchej sebevraždu.
What?
Nespáchej
sebevraždu.
Okay.
Nespáchej sebevraždu. I don't know. Yeah. There you go.
That was a very good job, by the way. You pronounced it really well.
Oh, yay! I did it. Yeah, there you go.
Anything you want to say, Paolo?
I want to say, give me booze and bitches.
Dej mi chlasta kurvy.
Dej mi chlasta kurvy.
There you go.
And kurvy is bitches.
Yeah, chlast is booze.
Nice. I only knew pivo, which is beer.
Pivo is just beer.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for recording this, and see you on another episode.
Bye.
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 Nabi-chan, bye.
That was you saying that. That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You can say it. Welcome. Welcome.
Oh, I can say. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's like
Sorry, I was waiting for like someone to go.
No.
Mark.
Welcome to the Mind Duck podcast.
Mind Duck
Mind Duck Japan podcast. Oh no, I failed already.